that give me time to reflect on a lot of things that really matter to me. Most importantly, the heroes in my life. I've been very fortunate that the servicemen and women in my own life that I've been close to, that I know, are still with me. And I think particularly about my grandfather, who had the chance to come home after his service in World War II. That would be both of my grandfathers, and see the world that was beset before them. For the veterans who came home from World War II, they got to see the confetti fall at the Canyon of Heroes in New York City. They had the chance to be greeted by their loved ones, their wives, their girlfriends, and they had the chance to return home to build not just families, but careers and communities as well. As a professional historian, I marvel at their fortitude. They faced the most dire circumstances. They witnessed their comrades fall in the line of duty, and they spoke very little of what they saw there. They spoke even less of what they did there. Instead of social media posts and selfies, they relied on others to tell their stories. After all these years, we are only now beginning to truly appreciate what those sacrifices really meant. For those that are still with us, we honor them every November with Veterans Day. But today we gather here to honor the Americans who never had the opportunity to enjoy what they fought so hard to create. They fell never knowing what their sacrifice would mean to this country and to the world. They never saw the outcome of the war for which they gave their lives. And they never had the chance to hear themselves called heroes by their loved ones. Most perished far from home in the terrible chaos of battle. One can only imagine how alone that must have felt. If only they knew that their names would be cast forever in stone and metal, in bronze, at memorials like the one standing before us here. Fortunately for us in Freeport, in Armstrong County, we can rest easy knowing that this river valley has produced heroes in every American war. And their names and sacrifices live on through memorials like the one that sits here in Freeport. We remember the soldiers in 1756 that raided the French-allied Ohioan village of Kittanning, the lone British victory that year in the 7 Years' War, a conflict that spanned 5 continents. We remember the 8th Pennsylvania Line that marched 350 miles from Armstrong County in 5 frozen days to join General George Washington's Continental Army in Perth Amboy, New Jersey during the American Revolution, many which never made the march back home. We remember the fallen Rangers that served valiantly during the War of 1812, America's first declared war and her first critical military test. We remember the Armstrong County troops that perished in the Mexican-American War of 1846 at the decisive battles of Veracruz, Mexico City, and Chapultepec Castle. We remember the 3,500 young men of Armstrong County that battled in the American Civil War, our nation's most critical moment, at every major engagement in the conflict. By the war's end, 1 out of 7 Armstrong County soldiers would never return home. Of those fallen, 15% perished in the wretched Andersonville, the most notorious Confederate prison camp of the war. We remember those of the 10th, the 14th, and the 16th regiments that fell in the Spanish-American War of 1898 in the Philippines and Puerto Rico. We remember the 181 county residents that fell in the Great War, World War I, including Company K of the 112th Regiment that fought for 47 consecutive days in the fiery wasteland of the Argonne Forest. We remember the fallen of World War II, who sacrificed everything to preserve the flame of liberty and freedom against the storm of fascism that swept the globe. In that war, 407 men from Freeport and its surrounding communities never had the privilege of returning home to their native shores. We remember the 36 young men killed in the uncertain jungles of Vietnam, and those veterans today still searching for a way to cope with their sacrifices. Our losses in the wars that followed in Iraq and Afghanistan here in Armstrong County have been mercifully few. Today I speak with a poppy on my lapel as a symbol of peace, with hopes that no more names be added to the list that is honestly already far too long. For those that never had the privilege of coming back, of returning home, we gather today to honor your sacrifices. Your service has spanned centuries, and your loss is a wound to our community that will never fully heal, nor is it ever meant to. Today, let us enjoy the freedoms made possible by those sacrifices, and never forget the wonderful moments that those brave men and women were never able to enjoy. Thank you very much.